5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to our amazing and esteemed Secretary for your testimony and your time today and your great leadership of our Department of Education. It's a real delight to have you in the House of Representatives today as we're reviewing our fiscal year 2024 budget priorities, and education being at the top of the list. Many of us on this committee are fully in support of funding IDEA and making sure that students of all abilities get the education they deserve, and that is why we know our public schools are so important in that charge, because frankly, most of the time, that is where students who are receiving IEPs go. And for the families that, particularly in my district in Oakland County, Michigan, we see a very successful model with special education and not burdening these families with additional costs. And so, Mr. Secretary, you're well aware of the impact on COVID-19 and students. And I don't think there's anyone in the cabinet who has more of a bird's eye view on that subject than you. And you may remember that we had a hearing on this subject, and particularly examining how the impacts of COVID-19 hit and hurt our students who have learning disabilities. And in Oakland County, we have Dr. Wanda Cook Robinson, who's overseeing our IEPs for 22,000 students, doing a great job at that. But interested to hear how the department is working to ensure that schools are providing students with disabilities the services and supports they need to get them back on track, both academically and with regard to the goals outlined in their IEP.
Yeah, thank you for that. And you're absolutely correct. Students with disabilities were impacted significantly during the pandemic. I would argue probably the group of students that was impacted the most. I remember getting stories from parents and students hoping that they can get back into the classroom and making sure that they would get the support that they missed out on during the pandemic. I received letters of parents, from parents who told me that their children regressed because the IEP was not able to be met. And we've been very specific with regard to guidance for students with disabilities, and we've gone as far as having cases investigated by our Office for Civil Rights to ensure that districts follow up on their legal responsibility.
Yeah.
We've taken that very seriously. For the first time ever, the Department of Education put out guidance on providing mental health supports for students. I think it was the summer of '21, to make sure that they had access to what tools were available with the American Rescue Plan dollars.
Yeah.
We know that that's critically important for students to be successful.
Yeah, that's absolutely remarkable, and certainly we know that fully funding IDEA will stop robbing Peter to pay Paul and help our school districts succeed. And it's a wide range of disabilities, physical and cognitive, that our students face, and we certainly appreciate you including mental health. We also know that students benefit from having diverse teachers, Mr. Secretary. Just 20% of our nation's teachers identify as people of color, compared with half of all K through 12 students. And so legislation like the Retain Act, which I introduced with Congressman Brad Schneider last week, would address the nationwide shortages of teachers that disproportionately impact our students coming from lower income households and also students of color. And so how is the department, Mr. Secretary, working to support states and school districts in strengthening and diversifying their educator workforce? And what is the department doing to support state and district efforts to address the teacher shortage in general that was here before the pandemic hit?
Exactly. Yeah, thank you for that question. And really quickly on IDEA, in 1975, Congress set out to pay for 40%, made a commitment of 40% of IDEA dollars to pay for special education.
We're about to hit 50 years on that puppy.
And we're at 12.1% in FY23. So it's important to contextualize that. So with regard to diversity and professional staff, this is something that we take very seriously. We created for the first time the Augusta Hawkins Grant that is intended to provide pathways for diverse candidates into the teaching profession, to make sure that our teaching profession reflects the diversity of our country as well. We're focusing on creating apprenticeship programs When we started as an administration, only 2 states had apprenticeship programs for teachers. We're up to about 16, which means that student teachers would get paid now. And we need to really change that. The goal is to get 50 states.
Pay the student teachers.
Pay the student teachers. If you want to have diversity in the teaching ranks, make the pathways easier to get into it.
Thank you. And with that, I yield back.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.